Hey everybody. So we're driving back from Alaska, and I stopped at one of my favorite places along the Alaska Highway, and that is Kluane Lake. This is a huge lake up here in the Yukon Territory. These mountains over here are part of Kluane National Park, which makes up part of a collection of parks. It borders Wrangell St. Elias in Alaska and the Glacier Bay also in Alaska. So there's this whole area that's protected, and Kluane National Park, kind of the northeastern part of it, runs along here. This place has a lot of really nice camping. You can come right down here and camp on the beach. I'll put the coordinates to this particular spot. You can see I got down here with the trailer. It was no problem at all. And there's fire pits. You got the lake right here. But I'm not going to lie to you, I've been to this lake a lot, and kind of one of the default settings of it is that it is cold and windy, even when it's nice and sunny out. Still well worth it though. It's absolutely beautiful out here. Kluane Lake is located in the southwest area of the Yukon. It is the largest lake contained entirely within Yukon at approximately 158 square miles. It's almost 50 miles long with an average depth of 100 feet and is known for its population of large-bodied lake trout and whitefish. Until 2016, Kluane Lake was fed by the Slims River, which was composed of meltwater from the Kaskawolsh Glacier, located within Kluane National Park. Kluane Lake drains into the Kluane River, whose waters then flow into the Donjak, the White River, the Yukon River, and eventually all the way to the Bering Sea. Over 4 days in May of 2016, the Slims River suddenly disappeared, leaving windswept mudflats where the Alaska Highway crosses the inlet. Glacial meltwaters were suddenly diverted from the Bering Sea to the Gulf of Alaska. You'll be able to see the exposed lake bed where the Alaska Highway crosses the Slims River once we get down the road a little bit more. With its main water supply cut off, Kluane Lake is rapidly changing, and it will likely become an isolated basin within a few years, shrinking below its outlet, the Kluane River. So we're going to head back to the truck, and we're going to go down the road a little bit and check out a few other areas here along Kluane Lake and Kluane National Park. We pulled over here along Kluane Lake, and this is another spot I wanted to show you guys. I've camped over here before, and you have an absolutely spectacular view of the lake right up on this cliff looking down onto it. And you can see right over there is the Alaska Highway. So this is just off the road, really quick access. Obviously you can get in there with a trailer. This little road here, it's a little steep on this side, but it goes all the way around. It comes back out onto the Alaska Highway like a normal road would turn off of. But yeah, I really like this place. Absolutely spectacular scenery. If you're ever on your way up to Alaska, I would recommend stopping and camping along here. Spend some time, check it out. I've driven past it a lot, but I don't always stop and hang out as much as I should. There's a lot of really good hiking around here too that I'd like to tackle one of these years. We drove down the road a few miles from where we were last time, and we're going to take a little hike up a place called Soldier Summit Trail right here in the park. But this should be pretty nice. Real nice looking country up here. This is the trailhead. You got a nice parking lot that you can come and park in. We had to park across the street because we have the trailer with us, and this would be kind of a tight place to turn around. But you come over here, they have this little kiosk, talks about the park and what you find when you get out in it. And that this is bear country. This, of course, is where we are, and this trail goes up all the way along up here to this summit. For this short hike, you can bring dogs. They just have to be on a leash. So once you come out of the parking area, this plaque here talks about the many who contributed to the building of the Alaska Highway and in commemoration of its 50th anniversary. They put this monument here and dedicated it on July 18th, 1992. And it was put here by the Alaska Highway Rendezvous 92 Society and the Yukon Anniversary Commissions and Foothills Pipelines Limited. Now you'll come over here, and the first sign that you see talks about the wartime road. Fearing a Japanese attack along the Alaska coast during the Second World War, the United States wanted a military supply road connecting Alaska to the south. In 1942, the Yukon's population more than doubled as American troops and civilians poured into the territory. Just 8.5 months, they built a rough road more than 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers long from BC to Alaska. Well, there's some interesting books out there about the history of the building of the road and what they had to do, because, boy, this country is rough to be building a highway in. Well, we're going to hike up the trail a little farther here. This sign right here talks about the sheep that live in this area. This area has a really high population of Dall sheep. And they have certain areas where they have voluntary area closures and seasonal closures to help protect the population from stress. We're not going to be going up that high, though. This is the next sign you'll run into. It talks about the mosquitoes, the cold, how you really couldn't be outside for very long in the cold weather. Some of these pictures are really impressive. I can't imagine what it must have been like trying to get this place built, especially in the winter months. All right, we're going to keep going up the road. This trail just goes along this slope for a while, and you'll run into signs periodically that'll talk about the area. It's a pretty popular hike, and being right off of the highway, don't be surprised to run into other people out here. You'll see these benches periodically, and they have some really nice views here of where the Jack River kind of flows into Kluane Lake. This has always been an island since the first time I came out here. I would imagine that at some point you'll be able to walk out there, which would be pretty cool. It looks really nice out there. The other thing you'll find at this bench is another sign, and this talks about the men and women who came from many places to work on the highway. There were a lot of soldiers from the United States, contractors and civilians from across Canada and First Nations, many of whom worked as guides, woodcutters, and seamstresses. And 1/3 of all the soldiers building the road were African American. Many came from the southern U.S. and had never experienced a cold northern climate before. The U.S. Army segregated African Americans and white soldiers at the time. And they have an interesting thing here. They say to listen to this 1992 interview with Joseph Haskin, an African American with the 93rd Regiment. He's speaking to a CBC reporter. And here's his picture. They actually have a little speaker here. You can get in English or French. So this is where they held the opening ceremony for the road. Spectacular views at Soldier Summit made it the perfect place to hold the opening ceremony of the Alaska Highway. Imagine standing here for the ribbon cutting on November 20th, 1942, with temperatures dipping down to minus 22 Fahrenheit or minus 30 Celsius. Canada took over its portion of the highway in 1946. The road still needed a lot of work before it was ready for regular use, and it opened to the general public in 1948. The Alaska Highway is a remarkable logistical achievement, but it was no speedway in the early days. First trip from Fort St. John, BC to Whitehorse took 71 hours, 5 times as long as it takes today. Nonetheless, the highway opened up the Yukon like never before. More roads were built, replacing trails and rivers as primary travel routes. In 1953, the territorial capital moved from Dawson City to Whitehorse, largely because of its location along the Alaska Highway. I think I called this the Jack River earlier. It's actually the Slims River. The Slims River Valley is dynamic, and building in this area was difficult. Soldiers had to cut the road high on the slope near Soldier Summit, where the mountain drops straight into the lake. A temporary wooden bridge across the river was replaced by a wooden trestle bridge closer to the river mouth in 1943. It needed almost constant maintenance. Swift water, laden with glacial silt, eroded and dislodged the pilings while powerful frost heaves lifted them. Yeah, and as you can see, we are right here, and the original road came all the way out here and crossed. But later on they built this bridge, which is the one we're going to go across here in a little bit. And then, of course, they have this line indicating where the silt has built up from the retreating waters of Kluane Lake. Well, we're going to head back down to the truck and Benjamin and head on up the highway. Yeah, this Kluane Lake is really nice. This is another pullout on the other side of the Slims River Bridge. You'll see there's a big pullout people can stop at, and you can drive out here on this beach. And it looks like people drive out a ways. It's a little sandy, and I'm not going to come out here since I have that trailer. If I didn't have that trailer, though, I'd be inclined to come out here and camp, because this is a nice spot. Absolutely fantastic views. We were just over on the other side there. That's where the Alaska Highway runs along and crosses the Slims River, comes back up on this side. The Alaska Highway, of course, is just right there. You can hear the cars pretty good, but just an outstanding place. All right, Kluane Lake. We're gonna wrap this video up. Got to get on down the road. I think we got Haines Junction coming up. Got to get some gas, food. Then we're gonna go find some place to camp for the evening. So we will check back in with you guys later on. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more videos about hiking and camping on not just America's public lands, but also internationally, be sure to like and subscribe, and you can join us again next time for another adventure. We'll see you guys then.